So the last thing we need to do in this build is to finish our shoes. We're going to make some shoes like this, just real basic ones using some of our NURMS tool again, and then reconverting it and separating the bottom from the top. So let's get started on that. I'm going to leave this here as a reference point, but I'm going to do my modeling for my shoe up here on the top. And I'm just going to go and we're going to grab a box and put it in here, and we're going to make it something like this. Okay. And if I look over on the side, maybe like that. So about kind of like a brick for the basic shape, if that makes sense. And then now that I have my brick, I want to turn on my edge faces here. Let's see, I'm gonna, it wants to keep modeling. It wants to rotate. I want to go here, turn on my edge faces. I want to see what's going on. I want to have 2 link segments, but I'll keep my width and height at 1 and 1. Okay, so here's our basic shape. What happens right now if we go up and we convert that to Editable Poly and we turn on our NURMS tool just to get an idea of what it's going to look like? It turns kind of into a pellet. And if we pull over, you find your NURMS window and you smooth it out a little more by turning it up to 2. Okay, it looks like a capsule, but that doesn't give us the flat bottom like we're looking for. Let me turn off my grids here. You can hit G if they're in the way. All right, so I want a flat bottom on my shoe. So how do I do that? Let's undo this. I don't want it to be Editable Poly yet. I'm going to use my, well, no, it can still be Editable Poly, I guess. So I'm going to keep it Editable Poly, but I'm going to use my Swift Loop tool, and I am going to put a loop towards the bottom. What that's going to do now, when we turn on NURMS, okay, you see that that rounds the top more, but it only rounds the bottom from here and gives us a lot smaller radius for our fillet on there. We call a rounding over like that a fillet. All right, now I want to kind of lock that in. So I'm going to turn my smoothness up to 2 so it's more smooth. And if the shape is a little long, that's okay. You can always scale it later. But to lock that in so that I can work on it and detach this, I need to click and do Editable Poly. What will happen if I were not to do that and I just select this and I select the bottom of my polygon like this with multi-select and control, and I detach it now? Notice what happens. I'm going to create a new object, but now the bottom of my shoe is a new object and the NURMS is not applying to it anymore. Okay, and so it loses its shape, and now we have a big flat rectangle. So in order to prevent that from happening, what I need to do is I need to highlight the entire element here. So highlight the entire element. We're going to convert the entire element back to an Editable Poly. Now NURMS is no longer applied, and it turned the whole shape into a multi-segmented shape with all of those, with smoothness added to the surfaces. Now I can go and I can detach the bottom of my shoe. I'm going to have to do some selection though for that. So I'm just going to kind of hold down control and select my boxes here. And this is why I don't want it to move. Hold on. This is why we don't want to turn our smoothness up to 3 or 4, because instead of having to click 30 boxes down here or something like that, we would have to click like 200 boxes. Okay. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's 32. But now that I have those selected, now I can go down and I can either find it up here, detach, or I can find it in my side panel over here, and I detach those, and I'm going to call this shoe bottom. B-O-T-T-O-M. Okay. I have another shoe bottom, but so that one just labeled it different. Now that I have this selected, now I go back up to element, and you'll notice I click on my shoe bottom, and here's the top, and here's the bottom. Okay, box, where is bottom? Which one? See, I messed up by having the other ones in the scene. So I'm going to call this new. You won't have to do that, but just so I keep them straight. So this one, because it has separate properties, I identified it. I don't want it to move yet. I want to move them together. So I'm just going to undo, 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 put it back together. Now this one is the one I'm looking for. A long hold. I'm just going to call this new. And now I can give it some color and I can clone it. Over here, I'm going to recolor it the bottom to the cream color maybe. And the top here, I can recolor to a brown. You'll have to mix your own brown. You can do it in custom colors if you wanted to keep true to here. All right, now I have my color. You can move that over. You can highlight both of them in the Scene Explorer. If yours isn't turned on, you can toggle it on here. Highlight both of them, and then you can clone them together. Hold Shift and zip a new one. Okay, call it a copy and line them up. So I'm going to hide these two so they disappear. Line up yours on your little guy the way you want, and we will render it as either a PNG or a JPEG. Turn it in, and thanks for joining me on today's journey. We will see you in the next build.